Am I the only one who's waking up sometime in the middle of the night worrying about the future? I know I'm not the only one. Am I the only one who every birthday he has thinking, what did I accomplish this year? Am I happy? Am I not happy with where I am in life? What can I do better? Like we always measuring ourselves to some kind of standard of some imaginary check marks that we think by this age I should hit this thing, by this age I should hit this thing. So the way I deal with those worries is very simple. In the book Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nigan, he talks about two arrows. When life hits you, it usually shoots two arrows to your direction. The first arrow is the physical distress that's happening. If it's a physical arrow that piercing your skin, or emotional arrow that hurting you, that's the first. Sometimes life can put you on your knees and give you such a big slap in the face that you feel a pulse in your cheek. Life can be harsh sometimes. Instead of getting into overthinking, why did it happen to me? That's the second arrow. And he said in the book, the second arrow is optional. Isn't that a no-brainer that if we could choose not to suffer, we would choose not to suffer?
Duh.
Well, you would think, right? His name is Myron Golden. He said, worry is reflecting bad outcomes into the future. As Joseph put it, the second arrow is a choice. It's an optional. So why would we choose to suffer? Why would we choose to predict bad outcome into the future? Human beings are terrible at predicting the future. We always think in our mind, what's the bad thing that could happen? And we're usually pretty bad at predicting it. Now, most of the time, we don't even notice that we're doing it. We're predicting bad outcome into the future without even noticing that we're doing it. And as Joseph said, the second arrow is optional. Viktor Frankl wrote the book, A Man Seeking for Meaning. And in the book, he's describing all the things that he went through when he was in Auschwitz. They took everything from him. They took his family, they took his clothing, his possession, his house. They took even his fucking name. They gave him a number on the hand. And yet, one thing Viktor said that it could not take away from him was his response. They could take away his name, his family, his possession, but they could not take away his response to how he reacted to things. The same thing Ryan Holiday is putting out in the book, The Obstacle is the Way. He's talking about Rubin Hurricane Carter that was convicted by double homicide murder that he did not commit. And he was sitting, I don't know how many, I think at least 2 decades. He was sitting in jail for a crime he did not commit. And yet, Rubin, any day that he was in jail, didn't point any fingers towards the warden or anybody from the judicial system trying to be a victim of like the system did wrong to me. He said, you can take away my freedom, but in my mind, I'm still a free man. So why is it all connected to worry? As Myron says, worrying is predicting bad outcome into the future. If you understand and knowingly know that you basically predicting bad outcome to the future. We as human beings, we have no idea what's the future hold for us. One day we walking in the park, and then the next day we can get hit by a train. Or I'm standing next to a train track right now, if you notice, but I'm not gonna get hit by a train because I can notice that. But my point is, we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. We don't know what's gonna happen in the next second. We have no control of what's the future hold for us. The only thing we do have control is our responses. So if we choose to create a narrative in our mind of the future is gonna hold, why would we choose a bad narrative? Why can't we choose a good narrative? If we're the one choosing the outcome, why not choose a good outcome? Eckhart Tolle said in The Power of Now, The way that you eliminate worry is you notice the thought. Thoughts are like bubbles. As soon as you notice one, you just catch it, and as soon as you notice that and you catch it, it just pops. The book Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss, they talk about labeling emotions. And what is labeling emotion? Is taking the sting out of bad emotions. He basically said, it seems like, it sounds like, it looks like you're upset, you're nervous. You notice an emotion in the other person, and he's pointing it out to the person like, I noticed that you're feeling this way or that way. Put an emotion into words, it takes the sting out of it. It's not as bad as it used to be. So it's the same thing as noticing a thought. As soon as you notice it's there, it's gone. But usually a worrisome thought is keep repeating itself again and again and again. It's keep coming up. So what you should do, write it down on a piece of paper, and every time it comes and you notice it comes, ask yourself, can I do something about it right now, at this moment, in the middle of the night, or whenever it's coming? If the answer is not, then just let it be. Don't chew on it. Joseph's pointing out that there's a big difference between thinking and thoughts. Thoughts are just there in our mind. They're coming up and they're going. If we just let them be without overthinking, without chewing on them, we just let them be. They're coming and going. Thinking is when we are participating in agreeing with every thought, and we keep repeating the same thought again and again and again and again. And he said people are getting anxiety and overwhelmed when they're overthinking the same thought again and again and again. So the solution is very simple. When you have a disturbing thought that you worry some, remind yourself, worry is reflecting bad outcome into the future. Choose not to reflect bad outcome. I know, easier said than done. Give it a shot. Next time you worry, remind yourself, can I do something about it? Nassim Taleb mentioned in his book, when you worry, ask yourself, what am I choose to not see? What am I missing? When you worry, you choose to miss some in perspective. You said, I'm worried about this thing, but what is it that I'm choosing not to see? What is it that I'm missing? If you're waking up in the middle of the night worrying about the future and stressing and getting anxiety about what's the future holding for you, remind yourself, it's just a thought. Stay in the moment. Stay present. Your worry is about the future. Thoughts about what's going to happen in the future. And most of the time, what we think in our mind is only in our mind. When we dwelling about the past or we thinking about the future, we are only keeping ourselves in our mind. So if we catch ourselves doing that, remind yourself to stay in the now. Stay anchored in the moment. As soon as you will connect to what's right now, you realize that all of these worries and concern and what happened in the past could happen in the future, it's all in just your mind. If you will have control over your mind, you can calm yourself down. And when you calm yourself down, you'll have better perspective of what's going on. Tim Ferriss have this exercise he called fear setting. Just like goal setting, but fear setting. And how does it work? If you have something you're nervous about doing, and you think, if I'll do this, XYZ is going to happen, try to ask yourself the question, if I'll do this, and this is my fear that's going to happen, how first can I prevent it from happening? Second, what can I do if it does happen? And third, what's going to happen if I won't take action? If I let my fear win and not take action towards the thing I want to do. Write it down on each column and look at it. Read it out loud. Sometimes when we put our emotions and fear in writing, they're not so bad as we think they are.